We rolling? Okay, I think we're rolling. Okay, so something a bit different for you on the channel today. I was sent in a microphone and I actually used it on my last cover that I did with my sister that you might have seen. If you haven't, there's a link floating above me head somewhere. Don't worry, we're gonna listen to the microphone a little bit in this review. God, that looks awful. So they sent it in. It's a company called FiFine. I don't know if that's the correct way to pronounce it, but you make your own mind up. FiFine technology. This is a dynamic microphone, so this is the sort of stuff that you'd be using live, not so much in the studio. Usually in the studio, if you're recording vocals especially, you're more likely going to use some condenser microphones. What you would use this for is if you were in a live gig or doing some sort of a live recording, just like the one that I did with my sister very recently. So we're going to break this open, have a look at what's inside, then we're going to listen to it just with my voice going into it, and we'll do a bit of a comparison with another dynamic microphone that I'm used to using that's worth probably about 5 times as much. Okay, so fairly simplistic packaging. It's got something on the side. FiFine wired microphone, width, that's meant to be on-off switch, in brackets the K6, new. So I don't know if they do these things like refurbished or whatever, but luckily for me, I got a new one. It's exactly what you'd expect from a budget microphone. Little user guide, or it might be FiFine, looking at the difference in the F there. One thing that I was quite surprised by when I was sent the link for this, I noticed that it came with the wire. They've even drawn out like a nice, almost like radiator looking diagram just to explain that it's a nice long wire. So they're saying 14.8 feet, 4.5 meters. That's gonna do most people. So yeah, I was very surprised because it's not often that you get a microphone with a wire. Now on the budget end of things, you kind of do in a sort of karaoke mic sense. This, I can already say, if you're just looking to do things like karaoke, maybe you own like a pub and you've got a karaoke machine and you're thinking, I'm not putting through like my really expensive microphone while there's like, you know, drunk people and a beer and everything else going into it. I just need a budget microphone, but one that isn't going to sound terrible. It's going to put people off actually getting up on the mic. That could be one thing that's this is used for, or maybe you're just like a DJ who again doesn't need like max quality sort of gear. I don't know, whatever. I'd never heard of this brand when they first contacted me. There's the lead that it comes with, XLR to jack. Don't know if this is just me. I always prefer to have XLR male to female. But anyway, it is nice that they included a cable, because probably if you are in this budget price range, it's most probably going to be like your first microphone, and you're probably not going to have a microphone cable. And here's the microphone itself, a little bit of packaging, it's all protected in there, and this is it. And now the first thing I'll say is this feels like a decent quality microphone. It's amazing that for this price, I can't remember the price, I think it's around like the sort of £20 area. I mean, I think my leads alone were £20. Okay, it's not as good as a £100 microphone, but even still, like, I'm amazed that you get this sort of quality. Cheaper microphones I've had in the past, the grill and the sort of the stuff up at this end has always felt like it'll, you know, easily squash in and stuff. This is a very sleek, well-designed microphone, so I am impressed by it. It has got that like factory smell that you're gonna have to get rid of, because in gigs and stuff, I prefer that to the smell of like sweaty beer sort of smells, which I've had one too many of. One big recommendation is maybe just get something like this for your gigs and you just know that you're singing into something nice and clean. Now, here's a weird thing that you don't see very often these days, is an on-off switch. Usually you only get these now when it comes to wireless battery-powered dynamic microphones, reason being because the batteries go all the time. By the way, it is a nice on-off switch. I've had ones before where they have a little click and it's so annoying, especially live when it's practically silent. even though it's a nice on-off switch, I'm not a fan of these things, because if you're in a venue or whatever, you want to be able to control the levels of the mic so that you're not going to get feedback. You don't want people to have to worry about switching this thing on and off all of the time. But I suppose if it's like a sort of karaoke situation and you can't be bothered with stands and stuff, it would be nice just to have off, and you know you can hit that on the table, and that noise is loud here because there's only me in here, but if you're in a loud venue, that is not going to be heard at all. Whereas if it was on and that happened, then it's going to make a massive racket through the sound system. Maybe it's a good thing that it's on a budget microphone, but for my purposes, I don't usually like these on-off switches. So I'm usually used to using something like this. Well, not the case. This is a Sennheiser E835. I know these are made in Germany. I know that because it says it right there. So let me just full disclosure here. This is worth probably 5 times as much as this. On the face of things, do they look very different? No. This Sennheiser, which is around about like 90 to 100 pounds, a lot heavier, but sometimes, you know, when things are heavier, they just feel like a little bit better. I didn't notice that this had any better shielding to like pops. So yeah, this feels, and so it should because it's a lot more expensive, much better built. And it's not like this feels bad again, but this does feel solid. I feel like if I was to drop both of these, either one would mark. But yeah, I'm stuck really, because I spent, you know, £100 on this, and then someone goes, hey, you can have this, and by the way, this is available for like 20 odd pounds. And it makes you think, why do people pay so much for these sort of things? But of course, if you're gonna delve down into the quality of how things come out on recordings, as you may see now, you might find that this gives you much more dynamic range of frequencies when picking up voice and other instruments as well. So now, anyway, let's listen to them.
1 2 1 2. Okay, so I can just talk into this one, and by the way, the microphone that's picking up was picking up the sound before. I've now muted that for the purposes of this part of the video. So I've got this on a regular sort of like gain setting that I go for. It's just going into the yellow. It's definitely not clipping. So there should be no digital distortion here. People might want to use this just for talking into, for doing, I don't know, like a podcast or something like that. You can create really good podcasts with microphones that are pretty much on this budget. So that's what it's like to talk into. I'll switch to this one. Okay. Right, so now I am on the Sennheiser E835. Okay, so I don't know if you're noticing much of a difference here. I think what you'll find in the sort of lower frequency range, this one is going to sound a little bit more hummy, is one way to try and explain it, whereas this one sort of copes with those sort of mid to low frequencies, sort of around the like 130, 140 hertz mark, a little bit better. One thing I did find when I was recording with both of these microphones was this one needed quite a bit more EQing, not loads more, whereas this one you plug it in, it sounds pretty much good instantly. Plus it would most probably work for a range of different people's sort of voices. This would probably be a lot easier to work with. But then, of course, if you are in these sort of like gigs and whatever, you're not wanting bands to be trashing your £100 microphone, no matter how good it sounds. Whereas this thing, you wouldn't mind if it gets a little knock and a little scrape and whatever. You've had a good listen to how both of these sound with me just talking. I'll now do a little bit of a cappella singing. I'm waiting up, I'm saving all my precious time, losing light, I'm missing my same old us. Before we learn our truth too late, resigned to fate, fading away. If you're gonna waste my time, Let's waste it right and hold me while you wait. So that was the Sennheiser. I'm waiting up, I'm saving all my precious time. Losing light, I'm missing my same old us. Before we learned our truth too late. Resigned to fate, fading away. If you're gonna waste my time, let's waste it right and hold me while you wait.
The FiFine K6. Who is this microphone for? As I've sort of mentioned, maybe it's your first ever microphone, maybe you're just getting into singing and you need a microphone, maybe you need to do some home recordings, maybe you need to do some podcasts, maybe you're a DJ and you just need to tell people that, you know, the bride's on her way in or the buffet's open. You're not going to be wanting to spend like hundreds of pounds on this sort of stuff. Because no one is going to hear the difference between this thing and this thing. My overall experience with this FiFine or FiFine was really good. This is an easy recommendation. One thing I will say to FiFine is, yeah, okay, maybe on the budget level people don't have cables already, but cables, the cheaper cables aren't really that expensive. People are probably going to have them, or at least they can buy them separate, because this thing, for instance, is just going to get chucked in my spares box and probably never get used. What would have been nice, instead of the expense of this, I would have preferred to have had a travel case with it. So that's one criticism, is that would have been cherry on the cake. But the fact that you can get a microphone like this and it makes it sound like it does, and they're giving you the wire as well, for less than £30 and close to the £20. And if there's any companies out there that want to challenge this thing, so I'm not getting paid or anything for doing this review. I was given the microphone for free. They sent me this thing, and I like getting free things. This is for new starters, people who need a lot of microphones that aren't too bothered about the quality. This to me is the perfect little dynamic budget microphone.